Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shamanic Learning. My name is Eleni,
And I'm Tina.
and we are chatting about all things shamanism. So both Tina and I are shamanic practitioners. We work together, we teach together, and we just want to share with you guys some of our favorite bits about our journey and how we've got here and what we've learned so far, and just how we are very similar and different in the ways that we do our healing work. So we are right now kind of around the 2026 New Year calendar because as we're recording this, it's January 4th. So I know, Tina, you had some thoughts about the concept of intention versus resolution.
Yeah. I think about this every year for the past few years, like resolutions are the big thing, right? Everybody makes these resolutions and they're usually around something you don't like about yourself that you're trying to improve, right? So weight loss, finances, whatever. And it's usually almost kind of negative. Right? Like, and if you don't meet it, if you are, dealing with weight loss and you have a burger, and then you're going to feel guilty. And then you're going to like be like, oh no, I just can't do this anymore. Right? Like it's so negative versus intention, which is I'm going to try, right? I'm going to do my best to make this thing come to fruition by being a better me, right? So instead of having a weight loss commitment of I'm going to lose 30 pounds, you have an intention of I'm going to eat healthier and nourish my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a lot more positive, and when you fall off track, it's not as big of a deal. You're not breaking a resolution. The other thing, and I think you'll probably relate to this, to me, a resolution is like a vow,
Mm.
right? And you and I know from doing shamanic work that a vow is forever, right? And or it can
Could
be.
be, could
It
be.
can be. And it can also kind of act as a little bit of a curse. So when you make, a resolution and then you don't fulfill it, that's energy that just sits, right? And it can fester.
Or it can be a leak of energy, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
absolutely. So shamanically, a resolution is really uncomfortable, in my opinion. Like this is all about my opinions here, as opposed to an intention, which is positive. And even if your intention doesn't come to fruition, the world doesn't end. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't, you don't feel that sense of guilt or shame or whatever, or at least not the same kind as you would breaking a resolution.
Mm. Yeah, I like that
I'd love to.
differentiation.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I'm so not about the craze of like intention setting or resolution setting right at the new year because it's in like the depth of winter. However, I would say that if you're used to working with intentions, then anytime you start something new or you are like moving through some big energies, like setting intentions is just a practice, you know? And feel like the difference with intentions is like you were saying, it kind of lifts you up and gives you like a trajectory of sort of manifestation versus like, putting your self-worth on this path of like, if I don't make this goal, then like I'm not worthy or something like that. And I think that's a good segue into like the world of shamanism and shamanic practice because I think as people, if they're curious and they're learning, it's good to take bite-sized, bites, like be able to chew and integrate and digest actually what you're learning or what the teaching is before like taking off a whole hunk that you actually can't process, right? Yeah. Um, so I know you practice other modalities, and I think you were doing other modalities before you got to
Yeah.
shamanism. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that and how
Yeah.
maybe those like commingle.
They do. And it's interesting because when I first, so I am just so we can do the laundry list here. I'm an Usui Reiki master, a crystal Reiki master, a fairy Reiki master, a certified crystal healer. Um, I also do tapping, though I'm not a trained professional in that. I tap for myself. Um,
Mhm.
and even my meditation practice, that's all stuff that I do. Um, and I did all those things before, or most of those things before I became a shamanic practitioner. When I started doing shamanic sessions, I had, on my uh, offerings list, it was a Reiki session, a crystal healing session, this and a that. That's not what I do a healing session. It's whatever spirit tells me to do. So for instance, I had a session the other day and we were I was doing your traditional, shamanic work when all of a sudden kind of moved into tapping with her. She really needed to get some stuff up that she was having trouble articulating and feeling, and tapping helps with that. So that was, one scenario. I definitely do Reiki while I'm doing shamanic work. Crystals, and most of my clients leave with a crystal in their hand, or whatever. So I incorporate all of it. It's for me, my sessions are very spirit guided. So if spirit tells me to use another crystal, I'm going to use a crystal. If they tell me to massage somebody's feet, I'm going to massage somebody's feet. Like, so it's, I can't break it up into modalities anymore. Like if
Mhm.
somebody says to me, I want a Reiki session, I usually say, okay, I'm happy to do that, but are you open to me using whatever modalities come to me? And that's usually the direction we go in. So
Mhm. Yes.
that's, for me, that makes sense in my world.
And
So
by the way, Tina is the queen of crystals.
I would not say the queen, but they are my passion. In case
If
y'all
you
make
have a
me feel.
question about crystals, you can ask Tina. Yeah, I love that because I think for you, like your toolbox kind of just like kept expanding. And I think it just depends on what kind of learner somebody is, because I know when people start getting into the healing arts, like I started through yoga and through like tarot and oracle readings, that you kind of like pick the things that like make sense to you in that moment, and it either evolves and expands, or you kind of like pivot because maybe it's not the right fit or in alignment at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's value in learning any modality.
Yes.
Mostly they intertwine, though a few of them, like conflict isn't quite the right word. Um, don't quite mesh, maybe. But generally speaking, learning any healing modality is exceptionally valuable for
Yeah.
yourself, for other people, for the world.
Hmm.
Raise your vibration, however it is you can raise your vibration, learn something new. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really like what speaks to you and what will you actually do.
yeah,
It's kind of like they say, like the exercise that works is the one you'll do. So it's sort of like, what modalities, and they will. I think that's just like normal that they just sort of start like growing into each other. And I think I am like everything shamanism. I will just go super deep, but I realized that I was like biting off more than I can chew as far as how much content that I was consuming, like how many classes was I taking, and so what I've learned and honed now is like going deeper instead of really wide, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's been super helpful for me. And yeah,
can I ask, where is
yes,
that taking you right now? What are you deep into right now?
yes. So right now I am, well, and I'm just scratching the surface, but I'm starting to work on space clearing. And some of that I've done like in-depth psychopomp work, which is sort of like helping earthbound spirits cross and clearing. And that's part of land clearing. But right now, I am currently helping to move all the stuff out of my grandparents' house because my grandfather recently passed. And some of the stuff I'm bringing here to my home, like inheriting certain items, statues. I just got this beautiful oak table. And the energetic imprints, that you need to clear. Like if you go to an antique shop and you're very sensitive and you are like clairsentient, or you're highly empathic, you're probably going to pick up and feel certain energies, and some of them don't feel good. And so, what I've been making a note of is it's actually keeping me in integrity and accountability because if I bring something home, I need to do a ritual and I need to do some physical clearing. um, I'm not really willing to negotiate that anymore. So it's keeping me like on my toes. So that's my thing that I'm sort of getting more into right now. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I've definitely been in that place when I brought my grandparents' stuff into my house, and I didn't know any better at the time, and ended up with all kinds of icky energy in my library.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
remember.
that's right. You helped me clear that. Yeah,
Um,
I highly recommend space clearing if you move into a new place. Absolutely, especially if you're renting. Okay, if you are renting, pay somebody to clear your space if you're not don't have the ability to do that. Um, a new office, even just once a year, make sure you do a clearing at some point, top to
yeah.
bottom, like get that energy out. We call it spring cleaning, but you can do it whenever. Like,
Yeah.
whenever
And
something feels icky in your house and, you
or you're
know,
just like in a mental funk or something's
yeah.
not clicking. I think the quickest antidote is actually like decluttering because
Oh, yes,
I feel
definitely.
like your physical space is a representation of like your interior, your internal landscape. And so I think when we like finesse, because cleaning can be spiritual. I mean, it doesn't always have to be like this big thing, but it can be this like devotion and discipline to a practice because your space is, it's its own living being, right? And so when we
Definitely.
respect it and we work with it and we practice like being and balance with it, then it's going to serve us too.
Definitely. I'm going
Yeah.
to give one of my mentors a shout out. Um,
Yeah.
so at the beginning of every year, I'm actually involved in a declutter jamboree with my feng shui practitioner, Katie Rogers. She's amazing. Um, and we actually start on June 13th, and we have a whole group of us
Oh,
that do decluttering together in a very organized fashion. And it's like the best couple weeks every year where you can get all the junk out of your house and have the emotional support of a group, because clearing out your junk is an emotional process. If it's not,
yes.
you're not doing it right. What I do find is that after I get the junk out, then I want to space clear. Like, then I
Right.
want to clear any other energies that are still lingering in the house. Like, they go together perfectly.
Oh,
Um,
they definitely do. And I've noticed that we've been getting a couple pieces of new furniture and doing all this decluttering at my grandparents' house has made me want to go a little bit deeper with my closets and my bathroom. And I just went through like all my clothes, tried on stuff, got rid of stuff. Going through drawers actually changes the frequency of a room.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
walked into my bedroom and was like, this place is bigger and brighter. And that was all like behind closed doors decluttering.
Yeah.
So that's like the energetic kind of
Yeah.
shift that can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of decluttering.
Yes. And I feel like we could just talk about this for
We
a
could.
while.
We
I
absolutely could.
just want to talk about
No,
decluttering.
it's funny. I was when you started talking, I was thinking about the last time like I did a full house space clearing, and it was when Margot passed. So my dog passed away in August in the house, and that for me was a trigger to energetically clear everything, make sure all that remnants was gone. Um, yeah, I'm probably due since I've had all the foster dogs.
Right.
Foster dogs.
Oh, little fuzzy babies. Yeah, I think shamanically, and I know you have some training and education in feng shui. I think there's certain points, obviously, like in the year, like you were saying, like there's that traditional spring cleaning. I know, like the Chinese New Year, people do cleanings.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
beginning of this year. Yeah.
Right.
Beginning.
And so there's like certain calendar times, but also I think pivotal moments like a big loss, a breakup, change.
Oh,
And even if it's not something that's like heartbreaking or really devastating, but just something you're trying to manifest and you like feel like you're just like hitting a wall. I think decluttering is a way to like start getting the energy moving again. And yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just agreeing. And one of the things Katie does during our jamboree is says 5 minutes a day. Set an
Yeah,
alarm for 5 minutes and go declutter something for 5 minutes, and that will make a difference. Pick a drawer, pick a
yep,
part of a drawer, pick a medicine cabinet, something small. It will lead to more. But 5 minutes a day will make a huge, huge difference in
yes.
just changing the energy in your house. And then you're going to want to just move your furniture around because that's what,
Yeah, I know,
that's
I
what I
get that.
do.
Yeah, and I think like just like any discipline, it can be it like gives back, it gives back to you. And like you said, like just a chunk at a time versus like trying to do a whole deep clean in like a 10-hour span, like sustainable chunks is like better for our nervous system
Absolutely.
usually. Yeah. So,
Especially when you're doing the stuff that's emotional.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
doing your kitchen may not be as emotional as doing your closet or doing the
right.
mementos or the pictures or, you know, whatever. And don't forget about your electronics, right? And you need digital declutter just as much as anything else. In
Yeah.
fact, I got a message from Yahoo this morning that my box is like 91% full. Okay,
Oh yeah,
there's a
I
digital
delete
declutter in
emails
for me.
every day.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that. And I kind of like just love where this conversation took
Yeah.
us. I feel like is there any other piece that we should mention about maybe like shamanic space clearing or like
No, well,
stagnant energy?
yeah, I mean, when I do space clearings, that's like I can only speak to how I do it, right? Um, shamanically, there may be an energy that needs some psychopomp. You
Hmm.
might come across something that needs help moving on. Um, but there's a lot of methods. Like, don't let anybody tell you, oh, this is the only way to space clear. You have to use smoke. You have to use carnations. Whatever. No, absolutely not. It's a ritual. It's personal.
Right.
Um, I actually do it differently from client to client, depending on what their needs are, what I'm called to use, whether there are animals in their home, because we do need to be careful with using certain essential oils or burning certain things around the animals.
Hmm.
So, shamanically, we have to think about all of that.
Right.
And yet, I, go in a journey and I ask spirit and my higher self, like, what do I need for this space clearing?
Hmm.
What's the most important piece? And if I were to give everybody like one piece of advice on clearing your home, sit in the middle of the floor before you start, say hi to your house, let it
Hmm.
know what you're doing, and let your house be a part of the process.
Hmm.
Because you're doing this for yourself, but your house is holding all of that. Your house is the container.
Right.
And it likes to hold on to energy. And you got to tell it what you're doing so that it can help you to, you know, make it a clearer space.
Mm.
What about
Yes.
you? One piece of
Thanks,
advice
Marie
on
Kondo.
space. Yeah, I know.
Um,
I don't know that she'd agree with me actually. Um,
well, I think she
she
does
would
do
about
mind
that. Yeah, no,
reading.
she would
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Um, If somebody's like just a newbie and they haven't done like any work around having like a helping spirit or an ancestral guide, I would say that might be like an important piece to activate before going in gung ho, doing all the things, the bells and whistles, because I think essentially when you're shifting energy and you're moving stuff around, like let's say you're doing like the cleansing in the corners or you're rattling and stuff, you're shaking up stagnant energy that could have been sitting for a really long time. And from the shamanic perspective of like earthbound energies, these could be like elemental spirits or spirits that like haven't crossed over, like human spirits that are just kind of like lurking around, like people get really freaked out about dark attics and places that people don't go in very often because energy accumulates there and it doesn't move, right? So I think having some type of protection, meaning like your guide is the one that's protecting your physical body, your energetic body, and is hopefully kind of leading you. I mean, also with your intention, or your intuition, but having your guide kind of leading you through this and be the leader is a way to protect you because protection is important. Um, yeah, so that would be my piece about that.
And I will also just add, because it is something that we do. Um, I personally don't have to be physically present to clear your space.
Right.
I can do that in non-ordinary reality, and I do.
Hmm.
So if you're looking for someone who can clear your space energetically, they do not necessarily need to be in your physical space. If you're
Right.
reaching out to somebody, know that they can, um,
Mhm.
do it in non-ordinary reality, and or most can.
Yeah.
Do your research. Um, I wouldn't
Yeah,
anyway, but
I think the
it doesn't have
important
to be done in person.
right. I agree. And I think the important piece, like if you're searching for someone to do a space clearing for you, like an energetic reset, is to also look around and say, like, what can I personally start to declutter? What can I start to let go? Because that's you getting that movement of things going. And then the practitioner can help reset the energy. But really, like, there needs to be some physical shift as well, I would say, to help sustain it, if that makes sense.
Agreed.
And that's my
Yeah, I agree.
opinion.
Yeah.
But yes, so I do like space clearing. Like for example, I've been working with my grandparents' house, but I'm not always there doing that. Sometimes it's easier for me to sit here at my altar and travel there and like do a middle world journey and travel there and do the clearing while not physically being there so I can really focus. And then in the next couple of weeks I will be doing like a whole physical space clearing, the bells, the smoke, the drums, the blessings, all that stuff. But that's how it's been sustainable for me to do like over time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. So
It was a
yeah,
fun
we talked about
conversation.
shamanic space clearing. Surprise. Um, And we just want to let you guys know that we will be having our free medicine wheel webinar. We have one on January 20th and one on February 8th. And these are free to attend, but you have to register and sign up. So you can find the link in the descriptions. And we will be raffling a free shamanic healing session for anybody who shows up live. So if you show up live, you might be the recipient of that. We also have our shamanic dreamwork class coming up in February. So if you're interested in going deeper into your dreams and the subconscious and getting a dream guide, then you can find more information about that as well. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Bye.
Bye.